On this channel, most of the times what I talk about is about agriculture. And that's simply because that's what I'm doing at the moment. But really, what I should be talking about is not how I left UK to come and start growing tomatoes here. I think the main subject matter that we are discussing every time when I create pieces of content on this channel is a documentation of my career transition from corporate to actually doing what I'm doing at the moment. So business models aside, let's talk about what it takes to transition from what you were doing to actually doing what you need to be doing. Like in my case, my background is in IT. It's what I've known for the past 24, 25 years. That's what I've been doing. And I've walked away from that to actually start growing tomatoes, keeping animals, but also other crops that we're doing here. For those of you who are new to this channel, you would know that I've lived in UK for the past 24 years. And before I left UK coming down here, I used to have a corporate job. And now I've transitioned from that to actually doing what I'm doing here. So there's also, I strongly believe that there's quite a lot of people who are watching this video who are wondering, what does it take to actually to successfully transition from a corporate job to actually go and do what you need to do? And if that's you, there's a link below this video where I have a calendar where you can book an appointment with me so that I can sort of like help you walk through what we call the big picture. Because you see, before I came here, everything that you are seeing here wasn't here. And I'm transitioning my career from corporate to actually doing this. But I also have a strong belief that not everybody who is planning on transitioning from a career that they've known their entire life to doing something else, they are going to go into agriculture. But the processes and the steps and everything that it takes for you to actually be able to do that, I think is pretty much the same. And I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also made a lot of good decisions. And I think sometimes all it takes is somebody to sort of like help you go through some of those processes. And it's worth a conversation, whether it's over the phone or over a 10 or 15-minute video call, because sometimes I think we forget that what it took me 6 months to get to where I am at the moment, if I shared my experiences and some of the things that I've been able to overcome, it would probably maybe take you a month or two to be able to overcome that. And a path that has already been walked by somebody else, it has a lot of value for you to be able to tap into those experiences and then implement some of the tweaks that you can implement. As you can see, what we're doing here on this piece of land, we are not yet finished. We're just getting started. But I've learned a lot, and probably maybe things that I know now as somebody who's been on the ground, the experiences that I've been able to go through. I think I would easily claim that I'm a qualified consultant now in the agriculture industry. I grew up in the village. I grew up on a smallholder farm. My parents and I used to farm on a small piece of land where we grew what we needed for food. But that's nothing compared to what we are doing here. On this piece of land, we have a business model that we are implementing. And within that business model, we have what we call a flywheel. And the business that we are building here within that flywheel has got systems inside it. What it means is I'm not just doing agriculture as it used to be done when I was growing up. I'm building a business, and inside this business, there are assets. Those assets, they are part of the business, which I think if I ever decided to walk away from this, we would be able to sell this business and move on to something else. But here's the funny thing. I'm not just doing the career transition for myself, but there are also other people who have an invested interest in what I'm doing here, who are also transitioning along with me. These are some of the things that I think people don't understand. When you decide to make a career transition, especially like if you're a family man, it's not just you doing the career transition. This is a conversation that I also had with my partner as well. When I was talking to her that I was planning to do the career transition, she didn't take that well, because everything that she's known in her life is a corporate job. She comes from a white collar family, and for me to actually walk away from a corporate job that used to pay bills, because she always knew that I would come through for that. But if I was walking away to come and start doing this, it meant that that little money that was coming through the door, it wasn't gonna come through anymore. It meant if I needed any support, I would probably call for her to support me while I'm doing this. And it's going to be exactly the same thing for you if you're walking away from the corporate job that you used to know. Some of my friends, they work in NHS. People that I know, they work in government department back in UK, and some of them even back home at home here. Some of them are working in government. Some of them are in private companies. When you decide to do a career transition like I did, or like I'm doing, it affects a lot of people around you, and you have to take that into account. And for me, it means as I'm transitioning to doing farming as a business, it's not just me who is transitioning, but I'm also helping other people to transition from a corporate job to actually owning a business where they have now an invested interest, and that invested interest that they have on what I'm doing here is eventually going to replace their salary. On this piece of land, what we're doing is we're not just farming as it used to be done back in the day. This is a business. So each and every part of the business that we're building here, me and my partners and my associates, we're building systems. We are building systems, putting things in place so that if we ever decided to sell this, there are assets that are connected to this business that would go along with that sale. I'll give you an example. In my previous video, I gave you an analogy of this business being a tree trunk, and that tree trunk has got a lot of branches. And those branches symbolizes small revenue streams that are closely related to the main thing, which is the tree trunk that I've talked about in my previous video. So what it means is a flywheel, which is part of the value chain that we have on this farm, has got little components that make up to a lot of revenue streams. All these are assets that comes along with the business. And I'll also give you an easy example for you to understand what I mean when I talk about business assets. When I stand in front of you and create videos like this, I'm creating a piece of content that I'm going to publish online. That becomes a media asset. That media asset is part of the business, which is also going to not only become part and parcel of revenue streams in the long run, but it is one asset a lot of people don't really take into account when they are building their businesses. But I'm creating these pieces of content with an intention of sharing what I'm going through as I'm transitioning from a corporate career to growing crops and keeping animals. But at the same time, Don't forget that every time I take my time and post pieces of content on TikTok, or I post pieces of content on YouTube, I post pieces of content on LinkedIn or on Instagram. All these social media, they are what we call media assets for the business. If you should go back to the food boxes that we are delivering to our customers, I have an email list of about 18,000 subscribers. All those subscribers are part and parcel of another business asset that can go along with the business. We are developing pieces of software. I've already told you guys that my background is in IT. I have a computer science background, which means coding is what I used to do. But this time around, as I'm transitioning from corporate to actually doing this, now I'm building pieces of software, I'm building systems, custom applications that I'm building that goes along with what I'm doing here. All those pieces of assets, all of these, they become part and parcel of the pieces of assets that goes along with the business. I've created databases for a lot of some of the things that I'm using myself here, and down the road, if I start sharing those databases with my network of farmers, they become useful business assets that are actually bundled together with this business that I can actually go and sell. If you are thinking about transitioning from your corporate career job that you've ever known, there's a lot of comfort there, but I want you to understand one thing. Whether you like it or not, at one point you're gonna have to transition anyway. So why not transition now when you still have a lot of energy, when you still have a lot of time to make the mistakes that you can make? Because believe you me or not, if anything didn't work out for me here, I can pick up my degree and go back and look for a job and go back to corporate work. That I'm not going back to working for somebody. After starting and testing the freedom here, leveraging the resources that I have, doing what I'm doing here, there is no way I would walk away from this and go back to a corporate job. But what I'm saying is, I still got a lot of time on my hands that if it didn't work out for me here, there's plenty of time for me to go back, dust up my computer science degree and go and look for a job and go back to corporate, right? So for you, I think you should be thinking in the same context. Do you still have enough time for you to be able to start planning your transition from your corporate 9-to-5 job to actually something that you own? Remember, you can either be compensated through a salary, or you can be compensated through building a career, or you can be compensated through a business like I'm doing at the moment. I'm leveraging the resources that I have to build this. And I'm not just doing this haphazardly. It's meticulously planned so that if anything happens within the business, I know that I have time to react. So for you, if you're watching this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel and you follow my journey as I'm transitioning, because this is not an overnight kind of a process that I get to do. It's a process that I think is going to take me 12, 18, 36 months. And I think there's quite a lot that you can learn. And with the business model that we've put in place, there is a chance that as you follow us, you're going to see the progress that we are making each and every time that we upload a video. And I want you guys to follow along with that. And if there's anything that you want me to touch base with, whether it's about transitioning from a corporate job to actually doing what you want to do, remember I've said that there's a link in the video description you can book an appointment to talk with me where we can discuss about your big picture career change or career transition that you want to do. It doesn't have to be in agriculture, like I've said. I have a whole lot of worth of knowledge and experience, having worked in the corporate. I have an IT background, but not only that, the business that we're building here, we've built systems, we're still building systems, and I'm leveraging the resources that I have, the mistakes that I've made, the challenges that I've overcome. There's a lot of stuff that I think you could pick up from me and you could implement that. Having spent a lot of years outside in the diaspora, there's a lot that I think I lost touch with. And when I came here a few months ago, I'm sort of like catching up to a lot of these things. And there's a great deal of learning, I think, if you're thinking in the same line that you want to transition at some point. Let's have a conversation. I'll see you in the next video.